Happy Monday!
Hey, happy Leap Day.
Oh yeah, happy day that never comes. Today doesn't even exist.
You can do anything you want.
Everyone come on in. Wow, look at them rolling in. We have an exciting special guest today.
We do.
Who is it?
Today we have Lauren Worsham.
Tony nominee
For Gentleman's Guide.
Yeah, and you saw her new show.
Yes,
But
Wildness with her band Sky Pony, which opens officially tonight.
Wait, so Scotland and Saudi Arabia are both on, so that's cool.
How worldly.
Big Lauren Worsham fans out in Scotland and Saudi Arabia. Is that true? I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
We did watch the Oscars.
Oh yeah, that little
asked.
Oscar thing happened. What did you think, Ryan? How were the Oscars for you?
I thought there were a handful of, I would say pleasant surprises, things that I, was kind of hoping for, but didn't really expect to happen. The big one being Mark Rylance winning.
Yeah, so Sylvester Stallone was sort of the favorite.
Yeah, he was like the front runner. People pretty much assumed he was going to win, especially after his Golden Globe win.
I thought Mark Ruffalo.
Okay, who I also love
for Spotlight, who I love. And then look at that, 3-time Tony. By the way, I thought it was a 2-time Tony winner, and I tweeted, and this guy was like, "Hey, 3." Rylance has 3 Tonys, and now he has an Oscar. This guy's
awesome.
like
First nomination.
I know he's like brand new to Hollywood, and because Spielberg said he rescued him from theater, right? Well, I guess he did because he has an Oscar. Yeah, that's crazy. And then we got to see Brian Darcy James on stage.
Yeah, so Spotlight won for Best Picture, which again I was hoping would happen, but wasn't really expecting it to.
Well, it looked like Mad Max was going to win everything at one point.
Yeah, especially with all those technical categories that were sweeping. But yeah, Spotlight won Best Picture, and you got to see Brian Darcy James off to the side, beaming the entire time.
I love that.
It was so great to see him.
Well, I loved seeing you see all the actors running to the stage, and I was like, "Where's Brian? Where's Brian?" And then I saw a guy. I was like, "Here comes Brian!" That was exciting. It's nice to see Broadway people on the Oscars. I mean, at the very end too, the confetti's coming down. Brian Darcy James is just hanging out, hanging out with all his Hollywood friends. So yeah, that was awesome. So I woke up early, well, not that early, but I went to they did a press event for Tuck Everlasting, which is going to be very magical. Do you know this book?
I read it in, I want to say 5th grade.
Well, everyone at the press event who I interviewed said it was required reading in their school, but I never was required to read it. But the funny thing is, Tim Federle, right? You know him. He's writing the book now with Claudia Schiffer, and he said it was the only required reading book when I was a kid that I actually read, and I was like, dude, they sent me a version. It's 80 pages. I'm so not impressed that you got through that. Tell me you got through War and Peace, I'll be impressed. But I don't know it at all. But it's about people who live forever. They drink water, and a little girl decides if she wants to drink the water. Right?
More or less, yeah.
That's what it's about.
There you go. And Camilo belts, hopefully.
Casey Nicholaw is now going to have 4 shows on Broadway, which I was wondering if it was a record. What do you think?
I don't know. Is it?
Tied. He's tied with the record now for
Hal Prince?
For director choreographer. I'm talking about director choreographer shows, okay? 4. The other person, apparently Susan Stroman. So, but I'm sure he'll get to 5 or 6, or I don't know. That guy just makes a lot of big shows, right? All right. So what's going on with the news?
So over the weekend, we learned that Derek Hough is going to star in Singin' in the Rain on Broadway.
And it's kind of cool the way we found out, because Harvey Weinstein was bragging about it at his Oscar party. Mm-hmm. So that's how everyone found out, which is very exciting. Yeah. Did you see the Spring Spectacular at Radio City?
I did not, no. I know you did.
Because he did a whole big number, and it was okay, this guy needs a Broadway musical.
And it was very Singin' in the Rain, right?
It was very Singin' in the Rain. It was like an audition at Radio City Music Hall.
Imagine that. Also produced by Harvey Weinstein.
Go figure. It all adds up, people.
So the Olivier nominations were this morning.
Right.
So Mark Rylance wins an Oscar last night, wakes up, gets an Olivier nomination. Which
that's how it goes in the life of Mark Rylance. If this guy doesn't go EGOT, then I mean, come on, that's gonna happen. But it's interesting. So, best musical, or what do they call it? Outstanding musical, the MasterCard Award for Outstanding Musical, or something. It's a sponsored prize, but there's 2 big, right? 2 Tony winners.
2 Tony-winning best musicals are nominated for the Olivier.
In the Heights, Kinky Boots. Mm-hmm. What else?
So we also have Bend It Like Beckham and Mrs. Henderson Presents.
I'm excited. I want to see Mrs. Henderson Presents. I love that movie.
Yeah, we've been hearing a lot about it, so I wouldn't be surprised if
it's about strippers. I like musicals about strippers. Those are always fun.
She's not a stripper.
Yeah. Well, but there were strippers in that. Okay, so that, and then Imelda Staunton, Gypsy, right? Mm-hmm. That performance may or may not be coming to America. I'm pretty sure it's going to come to America. She got nominated. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's super exciting. Jerry Mitchell does very well in London. Let's just throw that out there. I mean, they love a Jerry Mitchell extravaganza. It's so funny, like when Legally Blonde didn't really get much love here with awards, and then it won Best Musical there, and now he's totally on a roll. So that's super exciting for him. What else?
So we have some casting for 1776 Encores.
Cool.
So yeah, we have John Larroquette, Santina Fontana, Nikki Renee Daniels, who's currently in Book of Mormon.
Right.
Bryce Pinkham.
She was just in Secret Garden.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yep.
So that begins, I would say, March 30th. So that's pretty exciting that they're, going with a...
Hand to God was nominated.
Oh, yes, it was.
Dan wants to point out.
For comedy. I believe they split up the plays.
Yes, there's a comedy category,
So it's like a pretty diverse cast, which is... very similar to another show taking place around that same time period, currently on Broadway. It's called Hamilton.
Yeah. Well,
you may have heard of it.
Founding Fathers are multi. It's a very diverse group nowadays. Classic Stage Company is doing what? Pacifico. John Doyle's going to do Pacific Overtures.
And the world premiere of Dead Poets Society.
A play.
Yes.
A play version of Dead Poets Society. Okay, that's cool. And then the other thing I want to say is that Bernadette Peters is today? Yesterday?
February
Yesterday was Bernadette Peters' birthday. How did you celebrate? This guy literally has a big photo of her on his desk.
I should have brought it. I always do when I talk about her. I tweeted probably about 5 to 10 photos of Bernadette throughout the day.
Cool. As you do.
Which,
Okay. And we asked everyone their favorite Bernadette roles, and the results are in. And I just want to share them.
Is there number 10 emoji? Or drum
roll yeah. I'm sorry. Is that?
Look at it for number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Number 10 is... Knock it out for everyone. Number 10 is Sophie in Anastasia, which was an animated role. Number 9 was Lee Conroy in Smash. Number 8 was Sally in Follies. Number 7, Cinderella's stepmother, Cinderella. I don't even think I ever saw that. Is that the Brandy one?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Desiree Armfeldt. Number 6, Little Night Music. Number 5, Lily St. Regis, Annie. Number 4, Annie Oakley, Annie Get Your Gun. Number 3, Rose and Gypsy. Number 2 should have been the number 1.
Personal fave.
Number 2 should have been the number 1. It's Dot/Marie. It's Sunny the Park with George. And number 1 is obviously The Witch and Into the Woods. And on that note, I'm going to move out of the way and make way for our awesome special guest. So why don't you introduce her properly?
Please welcome Lauren Worsham. Hi, Lauren. Hi. Well, happy opening.
Happy opening to us. Yes, thanks for coming last weekend.
Of course, I had so much fun. Yeah, I came last week.
Okay, great.
So for those people out there, the Broadway fans who might know you primarily from Gentleman's Guide,
yes.
Why don't you give them a little origin story of your band Sky Pony and the Wildness?
Great. So my husband is a book writer for musicals, and he also writes for TV and film, and he's also a rock musician. He's way cooler than I am. And when we got married, basically we had a little tiff where I was like, well, you're a songwriter, not a composer. And he was like, you don't get called in for rock musicals because you sing legit music. So then we formed a band to kind of prove each other wrong, I guess. And that was a while ago. We've been married now 5 years. And I'm pregnant, which is what I'm going to have to show this.
Oh, yeah,
I
go for
promised
it.
some people. Because look at that. Isn't that wild? Crazy.
So one thing about this show is that you mentioned pretty early on in the show that you're pregnant.
Yes.
And it's a, is it a character thing? Is it actually Lauren? But then you have a number later on where you are very much pregnant and very clearly showing
Can't
it.
get rid. Well,
Yeah.
you can't. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. It's hard to hide.
Yeah, and like most shows, you can be in a show for a while, and up until wardrobe is like, okay, we can only do so much at this point, and you take a maternity leave. But for something that you're creating, I imagine like you can really embrace that, and
we're playing ourselves.
Yeah.
Fictionalized versions of ourselves. Mm-hmm. So I am Lauren, and I am currently pregnant. So I am currently Lauren pregnant in our show, which works out.
So why don't you talk about that sort of framework that you build up in the show, that that sort of like fictionalized version of yourself? Because it's a little confusing at first, but it's really interesting how you sort of like create that storytelling atmosphere.
It is. It's not. I imagine it's probably similar to the way a lot of people saw the original Hedwig when people didn't know who John Cameron Mitchell was, and they went to see the show. And I'm sure there were some people who were thinking, oh, is he actually a transsexual? Does he actually have an angry inch? What is going on? Because the way he presents it is, this is who I am. But that's kind of how we present it. We present it, this is who we are, these are our characters, but it's a fictionalized version of ourselves. And there's kind of a story within a story structure. So it's nothing really that groundbreaking. I just think it's a little slightly more avant-garde than your normal theater experience.
Totally. And it's at Ars Nova, so, it's kind of like a club space. People are standing around. You have us standing at points.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to play with the different audience structures that you get in a rock concert versus a religious service versus a musical theater show. So we didn't want people to just sit there and be like, entertain me. We also didn't want people to just feel like they were at a ritual or religious service. Right. And we also didn't want people just to be standing listening to music. So we kind of tried to play with that.
What advice would you give to audience members out there as they're coming? Like, what can they brace for as they come in to see the show?
I would say be open. Be open to having a wild time at the Wildness. Kind of an unexpected, different than what you would normally expect, but being open to the idea of we are telling you a story. It is a play. However, we are also playing ourselves, so we are trying to be as natural as possible. And I think if you kind of accept those two things, you're going to have the best experience of it.
So we had a couple comments come in, people saying that they loved you in Showboat. I saw, you have like a very legit resume for legit roles.
Yes.
Like Kunagunda, I saw.
Yeah, that was college.
In Showboat.
Oh God, and after college too, yeah. That was a while.
So how do you sort of find the balance between like those operatic roles and this indie punk pop rock gig that you have now?
I never believed people who told me I had to limit myself, and I just didn't, and it kind of worked out. Pretty much that's it. You kind of go where the work is. I started in musical theater, and then I started to find more work in new music, which is where it led me into opera. And then Kyle and I met, and we started having a rock band together, and so then we started doing more rock, and it's all kind of worked out so far. So as long as I can keep doing all of them, I will.
How is it working with Kyle on a show now compared to being in a band together?
He hates being a performer. That's been awesome because, he writes from home, so I get to see the process for him and what it's like to be a writer and how stressful that can be. And I've had to, take on some of that as well because we co-wrote the book together and getting notes and trying not to be too defensive about that. Whereas he has had to learn that, once the show opens, you're not done, which is what normally happens with a writer. He's like, we have to keep doing it every night. And I'm like, yeah, that's the
and
life.
Once it's frozen too, he can't.
Yeah, you can't change it. You can't change it, and he's not used to not being able to yell at bars, which is like a huge thing that he's given me crap for in our marriage. And now he's kind of, he's kind of worried about his voice. So
he gets it now.
He gets it now. It's been kind of awesome, actually. I highly recommend it.
So if anyone has any questions, ask them now. Do you miss those hats in Gentleman's Guide?
Oh, I do miss the hats. I miss Gentleman's Guide, but Crucible's going into the Walter Kerr, which I really want to see. And I just saw Brooklyn last night.
With Saoirse Ronan.
Yes, which is beautiful. Can we talk about a glam? I think she meant cheek glam. We could talk about a glam though too. What do you want to talk about?
You're a glam.
Yeah. Do you know the gender of your baby? I don't know the gender of my baby. Brooklyn was really good, Jeffrey, over there. Yeah. Dream role,
yeah. So you're creating your own role now, but if you had to put it out there for any role that you want to tackle at some point?
I would love to do all of the classics. I would love to do My Fair Lady. I would love to do Annie Rogers and Hammerstein. But beyond that, dream roles for me are roles that I create and get to, participate in the creation of them because, just like Gentleman's Guide, makes it a more unique experiences. Can we be BFFs? When am I due? June. Oh, man. Wow.
Your favorite part about playing Olive. Yeah,
Olive. Yeah, I loved playing Olive. The costume's amazing. It's overalls. So, you could just eat a full burrito and do a show. It was awesome. That and you had, guests from the audience every night on stage.
Kind of like how you do now.
Yeah. So every different night it was different. Is it hard performing while pregnant? I forget about it when I'm pregnant unless the baby kicks. It's moving a lot now.
Does it happen a lot while you're on stage?
Only when I'm kind of sitting. I would love to perform in the West End. Will you hire me, Nina Catherine with a Y?
Yeah. West End My Fair Lady revival. Let's do that. Let's make that happen.
Well, I hear isn't Julie Andrews directing?
She did direct one, and there's been talk of a New York production.
Can you just imagine being directed by Julie Andrews in My Fair Lady?
In that role.
Like, I could die happy. That would just be amazing. Yeah. We need you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll make this happen. We're going to start campaigning for this.
We actually have... Which Bernadette Peters roles would you like to try? Hooking it all in.
Thank you,
I love
Henry,
that.
for asking the question. All of us.
Oh, man. Oh, Bernadette Peters, she's amazing. I mean, I don't think I'm quite right for... Well, I could do Annie, maybe. Annie, Get Your Gun.
I could see a Dot.
Dot. I could do Dot, maybe. Yeah, I think I could. It would cast me, maybe. If I were casting.
I saw Adam also asked that, are there any more plans for recording from Sky Pony?
Yes.
We're not going to think about that.
We're not going to think about that, Nina. That would be bad. We just recorded an album, which is basically most of the songs from the show, but with different lyrics. We changed the lyrics for the show so that they were more narrative. So Lily Cooper sings quite a few songs, for instance, that are more within the vibe of the show and not just the typical lyrics. So that's one of the things we did. But they're the same songs, just different lyrics. Mm-hmm. So you can buy the album. Who's your biggest inspiration? What's your favorite part about Dog Days? Oh, I love you for asking about Dog Days. My biggest inspiration, God, I don't know. Audrey McDonald, Meryl Streep. Aren't they kind of the same person? Who knows? Maybe. Dog Days. Dog Days was amazing and really intense. Another role that I created, and it's an amazing experience to kind of live with a show for that long. Faking peeing on stage was quite an experience in Dog Days, I will say that. I was worried, especially because last time I did it, I was pregnant, and I was worried that I might actually pee. Do I ever relax?
Good question, Beth. Do you?
I'm relaxed right now. I mean, you know what I did today? I sat in bed all day long watching back episodes of The Flash. I'm not kidding you.
Well, you have a big night tonight. You deserve that.
I don't know, man. I'm just lazy.
Well, on that note, once again, happy opening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Likewise.
Okay, and we will see you all later. Thanks for watching. Bye.